Hi, Christy.
Hi.
How are you today?
I'm fabulous.
Good. I am excited to learn a little bit more about you and your military service.
Well, I come from a kind of a big family. There's 6 kids, and I knew that my chances of probably going to college were slim. And so one day the Marine Corps recruiter came into our high school, and he just looked. I mean, we'd seen like Air Force, Army, and all that. Everybody came in. But then that Marine Corps recruiter walked in his dress blues, and I was like, okay, that's sharp. And never thought of it anytime. I was still a junior in high school, never thought of it. Senior year comes around, and all my friends are going to college and everything, and that a Marine recruiter came in again. And I thought, you know what? Talked to the counselor, and I said I'd just like some time with him. And I sat and talked to him, and of course back then I told him I wanted to be, I always wanted to fly. I wanted to be like an F-18 fighter jet pilot. I wanted to be the first woman to do this and break sound barriers and all that other stuff. And he was like, yeah, you can do that. Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. Went home, told my parents, I'm going to sign up for the Marine Corps. I was 17 at the time. And they were like, no, you're not. No. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I met with a recruiter. This was I think I went to Forest Lake at the time. I lived in Stacy. So I went to Forest Lake and sat down and talked with a recruiter. And he said, you got to take an ASVAB test. And I was like, what's that? And I just want to travel the world. And, he's like, you can go to college for free. And I was like, that's it. I'll still be able to get my college degree, and the military will pay for it. So that's how I spun it to my parents. Like, I can go to college for free, they'll pay for it, all that stuff. And so I waited till I was 18. I don't even think I was 18, was I? I can't even remember if I was 18, but took the ASVAB. I scored really high on my ASVAB. So, and I didn't know this at the time, but when I was in boot camp, they pulled me out of certain stuff to go test and do these written tests and all these other tests, and it was because I scored so high on my ASVAB. So I got to pick where I wanted to go after boot camp. And of course, me being the 18-year-old girl was like, oh, I want to go where the ocean is. I want to go to Camp Pendleton, California, because I'm a Minnesota girl, right? So I was like, that's going to be the coolest place ever. Like, not Germany, not somewhere really cool. No, I wanted to go to California. So, and I don't regret it at all. It was beautiful there. My barracks were right on the ocean. So, I mean, it was perfect for me. I liked it. But I ended up going in October of 1990, and then boot camp enough was scarring enough for me to dissuade any of my children from going into the military. They're like, I could be a Marine. I was like, no, just go Air Force. You don't want to do boot camp, 13 weeks, pure hell. No. So I persuaded them, it's just what I did. But I got done. I graduated. I went to my MOS school. I wanted to do like communication and comms if I couldn't, because I realized I couldn't fly. So something that my recruiter never told me, because I didn't have good eyesight. I had really bad eyesight. So I couldn't fly, and I'd had to be an officer. So I'd have to go to OCS training, and I'd have to have a degree and all this stuff. So when he was like, yeah, you could totally do that, he didn't tell me that there was this big of a list before I could get there. So, and I got stationed at my first duty station, which is in Camp Pendleton, a Marine Air Control Squadron. I was with the 3rd Marine Air Wing. And I liked it. But this is 1991. That's when Tailhook came down, and I don't know if a lot of people know that, but that was all the sexual harassment that was happening over in the Navy. So they started doing stuff, diversifying. So they took me, old Christi, 18 years old, and transferred me, and I was up on this big hill. We overlooked the flight line, but they called it the hill. And there was a Marine Air Control Squadron, a Marine Air Support Squadron, and then a 3rd Low Altitude Air Defense Battalion. They're really cool. They shot Stinger missiles. I thought they were really cool. But it was an all-male battalion. Back when I went in, women were not allowed in grunt units. We weren't allowed to be in infantry. right? And that was considered an air wing grunt unit because you humped big, huge Stinger missiles on your back and all that other stuff. Well, they threw me over there. 400 and some odd guys in this battalion. I was 18. I was like, people were pissed. The guys were mad because they could go shower, they could go to PT and shower and rock around in their towels and, you know, get dressed there and swear and all that other stuff. And so it wasn't a warm reception when I first got there. And it was kind of nerve-wracking and scary. I hated going there. I was like, there was no other females at the time. 2 months after I got there, they brought in another female. She was the same. She came from a totally different MOS. I had to be cross-trained. So I had to learn how to be, a lot of these guys go to school for 3, 4, 5, whatever, how many months to be, to do Stinger missile, to be a gunner and all that stuff. I had to learn there, and they had state of the art. I mean, I remember being in this huge dome where you practice training with, so state of the art training, and I trained with them. We'd go 45 days to Yuma, Arizona, Baker's Peak, and we trained with the Hawk Battalion out there and get to fire missiles out there. And that was really cool. We'd stay out there for 45 days at a time, I think, 30 to 45 days at a time, I can't remember, but set up a whole, command post and everything. So some exciting things, one of the big things when we were out there is Yuma, the Air Force Base. So every 2 weeks they'd let us go into town and hit the E-Club and on the Air Force Base. And that's where I was like, I'll never forget walking in the air, because we got to stay in the barracks overnight. And I'll never forget going, oh, you have a real bed. You don't have a secretary. Like, you have a closet. Like, look at how gorgeous. I mean, everything. It was like walking into a hotel room. I'm like, should have joined the Air Force. So it was pretty cool. So yeah, I did my time there. I have to tell you, once I proved to them that I was just a farm girl from Minnesota, like, I'm not going to change your curtains. I don't paint my nails. I only put makeup on because in boot camp, they actually give you classes on how to wear makeup. You know why? So you don't look like a whore. Those were theirs. That was the drill sergeant. That was her exact words. And I was like, what? I didn't wear makeup. My mom never taught me how to wear makeup. I didn't wear makeup in high school. I mean, a little bit there back, when it was the blue eyeliner, blue eyeshadow. It was the 80s, right? And once I started, running PT, keeping up with them, we'd sometimes go, the best part about being on the ocean is our PT would be volleyball on the beach. Well, that was hard. But we'd also have to run on the beach in combat boots. So until you do that, nobody better talk to me, because that was so hard. Oh my gosh, that was so hard. It was a good experience. Then it got to be where a lot of the enlisted guys that were with me, officers still had a problem with it. Some of them were nice, some of them were not very nice. But the enlisted guys treated me like a sister, and they nobody messed with me. If we all went out in a group, it was like having a bunch of big brothers. So that was pretty good. My original MOS was I was a 0151. So I started out from there and then transferred. So I have them both listed on my DD-214, but it was kind of hard training on the fly and not having the full training. Now I got to tell you, I got up when we went out to the desert for those 45 days. We did that 3 times a year, twice a year. I can't remember. It was 30 some years ago. I know, my mind. But I got a lot of training out there. And when I went into the simulator, they were very, very helpful. I mean, so I was confident that if I ever needed to go overseas or whatever, that I would be able to do my job.
How long were you in? How long was your contract for the Marines?
Almost 4 years.
Okay, almost 4 years.
Yeah. So I ended up, I didn't know it was gonna be so hard. Sorry.
No. Sorry.
I am a survivor of MST, which is a military sexual trauma that was brought on by one of my superior officers, and ended up discharging out, and so.
I'm sorry that happened to you.
I haven't talked about it for 30 years. I believe my husband just found out about a year ago. So my therapist said, it's time. It's time. He needs to know your triggers. He needs to know things that are happening, and it's made our marriage so much better. I wish I would have done it. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. Someday I hope to sit down and tell my children, not the whole story, but I think for them a light would come on, like, that's why she was so overprotective, or that is why that boyfriend that messed with Kayla, that I wanted to, run him over with my truck, and I couldn't because that's illegal, but I think that my kids it would be like, okay, that final puzzle piece. My husband and I talk about our marriage and the military and this big puzzle, if you will, on a table, and there's one piece missing and we just can't find it. And I think when I finally came out about it and realized that I did nothing wrong, this was not my fault. Why do I feel shame? I was discharged. I was wrongfully, and we're going back. Right now, my discharge on my DD-14 says honorable discharge under general conditions, or under honorable conditions, I'm sorry. And they're going back, the VA is going to go back and they'll change it so I will have an honorable discharge. So, and I think when that day comes, I think everything will come full circle and I'll feel not vindicated. I don't think I'll ever feel that way, but it'll be the military's way of acknowledging that it did happen, and it's happening still today. So many women and men are experiencing it, and I belong to this great organization called Shield of Sisters, and that's what they do, is they fight for women. So I am now not fighting, I shouldn't say that, but I am now going through all the steps for the VA to claim the MST and the PTSD that the suffering. I do not want to say that I'm a victim. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
That takes a lot of strength.
Yeah.
And you are a survivor.
I am.
Yeah.
I am. It's made me, it's made me the person I am today. And I'll tell you what, I don't take shit from anybody anymore. I'm not that 19-year-old girl who couldn't fight off a man 3 times my size, I'm not that girl anymore. I'm not quiet. I'm not quiet as a church mouse. If anybody knows me, I'm not that person. And that's not just because I've over the years grown in to be a bitch. I've grown in to be I'm going to stand up for what's right, and I will speak my mind. I want the world to know that this is happening to women, and it's not right. It's not right at all. But that played a big part in my discharge from the military. One of my favorite things to do, that I look back when I tell a story about what was one of my most favorite things to do, is I completed, not everything, the SEALs O course that the Navy SEALs go through. They brought us out there, and with some Navy SEALs, and fear, I'm afraid of heights like you would not believe, but I was like 30 feet up doing the rope and then swinging myself over and doing
Good for you.
jumping or getting onto logs that were size of redwoods. Doing all of that stuff. And I look back and go, gosh, I did complete everything. You can do it, and they're like, okay, go around. But I still did it. I was like 20 years old, right? And so I look back and think I had a lot of good experiences, met a lot of great people. It was just time. And I think if I didn't come home and start a family, I probably would have joined the Air Force, because then maybe I could have flown something. A Black Hawk, I don't care, something. I could have flown something. I just wanted to fly. So a good conduct, this is a good conduct medal. You get that every 3 years. This is the National Defense Ribbon. Anybody that was in the military when like Operation Desert Storm, Desert Fox, all that was going on got that medal. because I have the actual medals on there and not just the ribbons, I do have you get a rifle, marksman badge, or I was an expert shooter in the military.
Oh.
So you get the little cross gun. So, but because I have the medals on, you can't wear that as well. But I still have that because I like to show people, like, yeah,
Yep,
this is me.
that's me.
I'm an expert shooter. Okay. So it wasn't hard for women. A lot of the when we were on the range, a lot of them said that women shoot better than men because, and just for this reason alone, they don't have bad habits. And they were like, none of you have probably deer hunted, and I'm thinking, yeah, since I was 12, yeah. I don't have any bad habits, but he was like, raise your hand if you're deer hunted. I think out of our platoon of 60-some girls, I think there was 3 of us. And he's like, so he put us all together because you gain bad habits from, holding, a shotgun rather than, your M16 or whatever, which, by the way, we had to like sleep with. You could that thing was, yeah, that was my best friend for a long time. If it touched the ground, oh my gosh, not good, no. Lots of push-ups. I was like ripped when I got out because I did lots of push-ups. When I graduated, back then you couldn't have hair that touched your collar, and so I cut my hair. I have a picture, oh my gosh. So I had long hair, and they would like, you can keep your long hair, but you better get up, an hour before and have that braided, and if one strand of hair is touching her, they would come over and they would grab it, and I'd be like, yeah. The day that I graduated, they came over, and none of my family came to my graduation because it was down in, down at Paris Island. And all these families or whatever, and Malafa, do you have family? My last name was Malafa. I had to go by my dad's last name. I said, no, ma'am. And she's like, don't call me ma'am. We're in the same corps. And she said, you ever thought about being a drill instructor? And I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, no, ma'am. She's like, you ought to think about it. Because I was the guide for just about all those 13 weeks. Can I just tell you? We went and we were rappelling. Afraid of heights. Gotta go, whatever, I'm already on edge. But it's the first time we saw male recruits because they repelled at the same place. So they brought us over there, and there's like 6, I don't know, whatever, platoons of guys. And 2 of our sister platoons came up, 4003, that was my platoon number, came up, and my drill instructor called me up front and said that there was garbage in the wastebasket in the head, the bathroom. And made me do push-ups in front of all of those guys. And not just push-ups, the whole 1, 2, 3, 1, where you come off of this. So now, I may be shaking, I may be tired, but my nose in front of all those people is gonna come this far off the ground, and then I'm gonna go back up and this far off the ground. I did like the most perfect push-up. And this was the first time that I realized what she wanted me to do. I got up and I was pissed. Because I thought, are you kidding? I have squad leaders for this. And I got up and she said, are we done here? And I was like, yes, ma'am. And I turned around and I called my squad leaders over, and I was like, which one of you is responsible? And then I turned around and I made them do push-ups right in front of me. And I thought, if she's gonna get mad at me, she's gonna do it. But I was like it was like a split decision, like, oh, no. And that's what she wanted from me the whole time. I was taking the brunt of everything for everybody, and what she wanted me to do was delegate, be like, no. I'm the guide. I have 4 squad leaders. You are in charge of this squad. You weren't, And once I got that, oh, like butter. It was fabulous. So yeah, that was the most embarrassed I've ever been. There's nothing like earning the Eagle Globe. There's nothing like earning that. Like, that's something that will never, ever, nobody can ever take that away from me. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yep, Semper Fi.
Semper Fi.
Love it.
Oh, these are my original dog tags that were given to me at boot camp. So they're 34 years old. Yeah.
And what are the pins?
These go on your collar. This is the Eagle Globe and Anchor. You get these. the day you become a Marine, you don't get to wear these until you graduate, and then they call you Marine for the first time, and that's when you realize 13 weeks of hell. And this is what I, you're like, this is what I earned, and you're like, yeah, and I'll have these forever. I am that person who, when the National Anthem is played, still gets teary-eyed. It just means that much to me. I am proud to be an American. My service, whether it was 30 years ago or 4 years ago, means a lot. I fought for my country, and so when I hear it, I still, tear slides down the cheek, because it still means that much to me. This is my boot camp picture. This is me at the age of 18, so some years ago. But yeah, this is me.
Wow.
In my dress blues, and yeah, not crazy.
I love it.
Yeah, I should put it up in my house. I really should put it up, because it's kind of in a box with all my Marine Corps pictures, but I really should put it up. So
Yeah,
I'm very proud of that girl. I'm very proud of her.
you should be.
Thank you. Look how dark my eyebrows were. Wow. I'm just saying, same blue eyes though. Damn.
Yeah.
But do you notice? They have, you probably can't see it, but I had to put lipstick on, and it had to be pink because you couldn't wear red. But yeah, they had us wear makeup and everything. So this was me doing my makeup, and it's kind of weird. And then they were like, "Don't smile," and I was like, "Really, really?"
Yeah, you don't see people smiling very
No,
much.
they want you to look. I think they want you to look badass. I'm like, I can still be that way and smile. So yeah.
Very cool.
But yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with me, Christi. I really appreciate you being here and fighting for what you believe in, and finding your voice after 30 years, and just being an amazing mom, human, wife, and veteran.
Thank you. I hope you make a difference with telling the story of veterans. I do that on a daily basis. It's my passion. So
Thank you again.
yeah, thank you.
And thank you for your service.